सबसे पहले मैं अखिल भारतीय किसान सभा के ओर से आप सभी का क्रांतिकारी अभिवादन करना चाहता हूं। यहाँ जो नया चुनाव हुआ JNUSU और JNUTA है, दोनों को मेरा क्रांतिकारी अभिवादन। Friends, it is against a authoritarian administration that you have all assembled here today to listen to us. About 20 years back, we had somewhat similar situation, and we had a vice chancellor who was raising questions or opposed to holding meetings or protests with slogans. So then the students here said, protests are by nature disruptive. You cannot expect the calmness of an evening tea party. So I think you are sending that message to this Vice Chancellor also. I would like to mention one thing, since comrade who introduced me mentioned about my research. When I was a student here in '97, it was a time when Comrade Sainath's most popular book had just come out. We had listened to him quite a few times. I had listened to Professor Utsa Patnaik for quite a few times. And there was a question in my mind whether what Sainath is writing and what Professor Utsa is speaking is actually the truth, or they are exaggerating the agrarian crisis since they are left-leaning. So I actually did a full PhD because of what they have been writing and speaking. And it is because of that today I am linked with the movement, linked with the Kisan movement. My PhD was on neoliberal economic policies and the impact on Indian peasantry. Some of the villages that I surveyed were villages where Sainath had visited before and written about. Ipperu in Anantpur being a Gram Panchayat which I visited during my PhD survey. So I am quite happy to be on this side with Comrade Sainath in this journey, in this struggle that we have all been taking now. Why the last 4 years? There have been consistent struggles by the peasantry. I would say hats off to the students and teachers of JNU. Probably other than the peasantry, the most consistent struggles have come from the JNU community. It has continuous attacks, continuous struggles. We have not, for a moment, we have not rested. It has been going on. Similarly, there have been continuous struggles by the peasantry. What is the reason for this? In 2014, when Narendra Modi and BJP were fighting the elections, the maximum campaign was on how the agrarian crisis would be addressed. How, in more than 300 meetings, where Modi himself addressed the people, as well as many other meetings where his 3D images addressed the people, they said that a BJP government would bring Achhe Din for farmers. It would ensure farmers' suicides would come to an end. It would ensure that farmers would get remunerative price for their produce that would be at least 50% more than the cost of production according to the Swaminathan Commission recommendations. If you see the BJP manifesto, it went further ahead. It was literally a wish list of the farming community. Except for land reforms, almost every other demand was featured in that. Cheaper credit, cheaper inputs, remunerative prices, insurance for crop loss, no land would be acquired without consent of the farmers. Almost water, har khet ko pani, and these were what most of the farmers were then demanding. There was an agrarian crisis with the Congress-led UPA government also following the neoliberal economic policies. Now often many of the, even some of the farmer leaders often speak as though it is some insensitive government has come to power and that is leading to this kind of a crisis. It's actually these governments which have been coming, alternating one after the other. They have been implementing the neoliberal policies, economic policies, which they know very well is going to hinder the interests of the farming community. So in the first few days after this government came to power, it raised a lot of hopes. A lot of farmers and rural poor voted for this government. So within a few days after its election, we went and met the agriculture minister. Please implement your promise of implementing the Swaminathan Commission recommendation of C2 plus 15. Radha Mohan Singh, whom till then we had never heard of, he mentioned without any hesitation that ये सब चुनाव के समय में जो वादे करते बस उतना ही है, ये लागू नहीं होने वाला. Now we all heard how Nitin Gadkari says, हमको कोई उम्मीद ही नहीं था कि भाजपा सरकार में आएगी, तो हमें कहा गया कि सबसे लुभावने वादे लोगों को वादे करो और लो हम चुनाव जीत के आ गए, ये कैसे हम लागू कर सकते हैं. Amit Shah says these are only chunavi jumlas. So after coming to power, promising literally the wish list of farmers, they are actually going back on each one of these promises. Farmers' suicides. More than 36,000 farmers, according to the NCRB, in the first 3 years have committed suicide. The maximum being in the BJP-ruled state of Maharashtra. And if you take the BJP and NDA-ruled states, more than 70% of farm suicides are in these states. Regarding the MSP, C2 plus 50, they went to the Supreme Court, filed an affidavit that this cannot be implemented. 4 years down the line, suddenly they say, we have already implemented it, and they've actually shifted the goalpost from C2 plus 50, which is a comprehensive cost plus 50%, to A2 plus FL plus 50, a formula which is around 40% below C2 cost. So you find in most of the crops, the price that is being given to the farmers is often even much below the cost of production. And even not just that, this MSP that is announced is at best notional in most cases, like Comrade Purushottam mentioned, because there is no purchase at this. You have dismantled the procurement mechanism over the last 2 decades of neoliberal, 2.5 decades of neoliberal economic policies. So in Bihar, for instance, while the MSP of paddy is around 1750, the farmers in Bihar are getting only around 800 to 1100, between 800 and 1100 per quintal. It's much below the... So this is something. Regarding the land acquisition, it was mentioned that without the consent of farmers, there would be no acquisition of land. Within 6 months of coming to power, in December, they came with the land acquisition ordinance, which literally mentioned that there is no need for any consent of farmers or dependence on land when land is being acquired for different projects. Even a simple pen, if you have to make a signature, and if you want to borrow a pen, you have to request someone. And after the signature, you have to return, usually courtesy demands that you thank the person who has given you the pen. But the entire livelihood of the farmer and the rural agriculture worker, it depends on land, and this government was telling you need not ask the farmer or the dependent on land for their consent. Lakhs of acres, according to an assessment I was trying to make, at least twice the size of Britain is the land that is potentially under the threat of acquisition. We have a capital, Amaravati, coming in Andhra Pradesh. 53,000 acres of multi-crop land is what is being taken in the name of land pooling. And they are asking for denotifying another 1 lakh acres of forest land for the capital. Also, around more than 50,000 acres for the Machilipatnam port city. 53,000 acres. I just did a Google search whether what is the area occupied by Washington DC, Paris, London or Berlin. None of them occupy such a huge area. So this is the kind of land that is being grabbed in the name of different industrial corridors. Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor, Bangalore-Mumbai corridor, Bangalore-Chennai corridor. Many such corridors coming up, which is actually legalizing, actually a license to plunder that is going on in this country, where lakhs of acres of fertile multi-crop land is being occupied. So that is something. So when this land acquisition ordinance came up, we built an unprecedented unity called the Bhumi Adhikar Andolan, in which more than 300 organizations, like Comrade Purushottam mentioned, with differences, lot of differences. When we, in the first meeting, when one of the speakers said we will follow the constitution of Baba Sahib Ambedkar, few organizations walked out. When someone else said that we would be not just speaking about the land acquisition, protection of land, but also land rights for the landless, a few other organizations walked out. But in that process, we built a unity called the Bhumi Adhikar Andolan, which today has taken consistent position against neoliberal policies and against the communal forces. So once this unity went ahead with a lot of struggles, the government was forced to put on hold this land acquisition ordinance at the, in the parliament. Then they went ahead by imposing it through the BJP ruled states. We tried to build a similar unity in those states. The next attack came on the cattle wealth of the peasantry. In the name of Gauraksha, in the name of cow slaughter ban, you had different restrictions being put on the farmers. That also, we built a unity and we countered against that. We also went to the Supreme Court, which ensured that these changes in the cattle trade restrictions which were brought, that was withdrawn. So these two were actually the defeats handed over to Narendra Modi, who had come to power with the expectation that for the next 20 years there is no change going to come. You see the policies, each one of the program, apart from the Deen Dayal Upadhyaya schemes, which are there, every other scheme is named after Deen Dayal Upadhyaya. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Sichai Yojana, each one of these, they have totally failed. In the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, when they just came up with the policies, I wrote a detailed article which said, what farmers need is insurance from government policies. And today, we find that more than 15,000 crores of profit have accrued to a few insurance companies, including Reliance. Comrade Sainath recently mentioned how the scam is bigger than the Rafale deal. So that is as far as the insurance is concerned. And the insensitivity with which the farmers' problems are addressed. We found in a state like Haryana, where BJP won for the first time on its own, we found farmers getting checks of 1 rupee, 90 paisa, 5 rupees for crops destroyed in more than 2 or 5 acres or more. And no redressal of these grievances. In state after state, and as far as credit is concerned, cheaper credit, we find recent reports suggest it is something which continues from the last government, UPA government also. So they also have to take some blame for it. About 615 accounts have got about 60,000 crores in the name of agricultural loan. This is something, the Wire filed an RTI, and these are some figures. It has been going on from 2013, maybe even before, but the figures which we have got from the RBI is from 2013 onwards. Every year, about between 55 to 60,000 crores going in the name of agricultural loan to about 615 to 650 accounts. And one person in Maharashtra apparently has got around 5,400 crores, just one person. This is by bringing about 600 farmers and defrauding them. So this is what is happening as far as agriculture is concerned. No pani for har khet ke liye pani, that is not there. Now they are trying to bring in Israeli companies here and forcing the farmers to go in for some of their technology by linking subsidy to these companies. So that is something also which is happening in our country. So continuous attacks have been happening. People are not getting proper prices. That is when this man comes up with this brilliant idea of the demonetization. We were on a Kisan Sangharsh Yatra. I had just reached Anandpur, which is a hotbed of farm suicides, a drought-hit region of Andhra Pradesh. On 8th November, 2 years back, I was in the Kisan Sangharsh Yatra in Anandpur. Next day, we go to the market and we find there are no buyers for especially flowers, vegetables and fruits, the perishables, no buyers at all. And a few farmers who brought bags full of marigold flowers. Every festival, every marriages, marigold flowers are something which you will always find. For a 100 kg bag, not even getting 100 rupees for that. People are forced to throw it. Farmers getting less than 1 rupee a kg for tomato. Farmers getting less than 2 rupees for a kg of garlic. Against these, there were massive struggles. First starting in Rajasthan and later in Maharashtra. The All India Kisan Sabha has been in the forefront of these struggles, but we believe that this struggle is not something All India Kisan Sabha or a few individuals alone can win. That is where the importance of this solidarity actions come in. And we have built these unities, and Comrade Purushottam and myself, our organizations, we have had many struggles jointly also ever since. That is a new, that is a change that we are seeing in the coming, in these last 4 years. We have also seen a situation where, I remember around 97 or little later, Madhura Swaminathan wrote a book published by the Leftward on the food situation in our country. And the cover had photos of people during the Great Bengal famine with chawal do, give rice, written on some of the what they were holding, some posters or something. That kind, the kind of starvation that was there. Today you are having people dying saying baat do. In Jharkhand, in Maharashtra, I was shocked when I went for a struggle in 2 years back in Maharashtra. I saw that in 5-month period, 9,000 children below the age of 5 had died due to malnutrition. I thought it is an exaggeration. I thought it is not correct. I tried to check and I found, to my utter shock, that 21,000 children below the age of 5 had died in Maharashtra in that 1 year. If you look at Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, these figures are, it is just, I don't know what kind of a nation we are living in. And people are silent on this. The ruling classes are silent. It is in these circumstances, we had the struggles going on in Maharashtra. A joint struggle committee was set up, after which there were many promises made to the farmers, but they were not implemented. Loan waiver of about 36,000 crores was one of them, but not implemented. In between, you had the killing of 6 farmers in police firing in Mandsaur, BJP-ruled Mandsaur. We went to those villages there. We were the first to reach Mandsaur, and we found these are houses with BJP flags on. In Haryana, we found these are houses who campaigned for BJP and had BJP flags on. But things are now changing. There were stacks of garlic there because there were no buyers. And the government says these are actually opium traders and who are instigating the farmers. these kind of specific efforts to either criminalize the farmer protest, that is something which we have also seen. But farmers have come. Where we were mobilizing 50, we are able to mobilize 100. Where we are mobilizing 100, we are able to mobilize 500. Where we are mobilizing 500, we are able to mobilize 1,000. And lakhs where we never expected we can be able to mobilize. September 5th, a unique unity of worker-peasant unity. Lakhs marched in Delhi. None of us, we were not having the confidence initially. But as we went to the field, the kind of crisis that they are facing, we found, the willingness to come is much more than what some of us can even actually conceive. So once this Mansoor killing happened, we sat together. We had all seen how the farmers from Tamil Nadu had come here. They were here for quite a long time, but the Prime Minister didn't have even 2 minutes for them. So at the initiative of some of us, some of our organizations, we sat together and the All India Kisan Sangharsh Coordination Committee. It was an issue-based unity on 2 issues. One, he has already mentioned it, that is liberation from debt and assured remunerative price for the farmers' produce. On other issues, there are differences. But in the course of these struggles, we have been able to ensure that at least a big number of them are taking a position on issues like ban on cattle trade, restrictions on cattle trade. They have taken. When there have been killings by Gorakshaks, we have some of these groups which earlier were not willing to take a position, they have come out in solidarity when organizations like Kisan Sabha and All India Kisan Mahasabha and others under the banner of Bhumi Adhikar Andolan, we have had protests when Pehlu Khan was killed. So, and when later Umar Khan, Raibar Khan, many others who were killed, in each of these, we have ensured some of these groups which earlier were a little skeptic, they have come. So this, in the course of struggles, we have been able to build this much greater unity. And the Kisan Long March in Maharashtra, that caught the imagination of people across the country. Here, Comrade mentioned that I was one of the leaders. I was there in solidarity. It was a movement built by the Maharashtra comrades. They went to the villages for months together for ensuring there would be food grains, there would be finance for this entire thing. And when we started from the Nasik, one of the chowks there, it was around 10 to 12,000 people only on the first day. When I was speaking there, I reminded them of a hunger march or Pattini march by Comrade A.K. Gopalan in 1930s from Malabar to Chennai. Unfortunately, we are in a situation where still a large part of our country are still being forced to march to ensure that their stomachs, they get something into their stomach every day. So that is the situation that we are in. So here when we began on March 6th, not much coverage. We had Sainath and Pari, their team there. We had some of the Marathi media was there. We had a news click was there. Otherwise, not much coverage. As the first day we marched about 20 kilometers on the first day, and we stopped for the day in on the banks of a river called Vagdevi. Most farmers had packed some food for the night, and the next day we started early morning itself. That day we marched around 30 kilometers. 7:30 we should have started, marched for about 2 hours. Then on the Nasik-Mumbai highway, people take a half an hour rest when nearby villagers would provide water or biscuits and so on. In the afternoon, we stopped at a government school Maidan where food was cooked by the comrades, by the Kisan Sabha comrades, as well as nearby villagers coming to help. Khichdi, easily it can be cooked, so that was the food. By evening we reached a small hillock with a temple, and the entire hillock was as though it is clad in red sari. So it was an inspiring thing. But it is only after the third day when our state secretary of the Kisan Sabha, Ajit Navle, took a 47-second video which became viral, and the youth in a big way helped it spreading this message in those days. There were some groups which came up suddenly whom we never had any interaction with. A group called Commons was formed who were spreading the information about this struggle. Different such people coming forward to support. Two other journalists, one Indranil Sengupta, Indranil, one of the photographers, who took a photo of Sakkubai, who was marching her blistered feet, which all of you have seen, which once again Alka Dupkar, a journalist with the Mumbai Mirror, who took the photos of the people who are, the feet of the people who are marching in this. These actually shook the conscience of the people. You had, as we went across to Thane and closer to Mumbai, we had the middle classes coming forward. We had the Dalit bastis coming forward to provide water, food, and so on. You had Sikh, the people from the Sikh community coming forward. All sections. This was something which we witnessed earlier in Rajasthan, and we were witnessing it again in Mumbai. What is it? Is it that the middle class and all these sections has all of a sudden become sensitive to the issues of the farmers? Is it just that? Yes, we have been through continuous struggles. We have been able to build some that kind of a solidarity also, in at least in some areas. But the demonetization and GST has hit every section. That also is a reason why people are coming out. Till 2016, they said, "Abhi aayega achhe din, abhi aayega." They kept expecting. A lot of them expected. But achhe din is now achhe din aayega due to of our struggles. Hamare sangarshon ke chalte kuchi din mein achhe din aayega. That is what the confidence of continuously being part of these struggles. Now, for the first time, when we are marching in November 29th and 30th, we have a unique kind of solidarity, an unprecedented solidarity being built. Nation for farmers. We have students for farmers, advocates, lawyers for farmers, scientists for farmers. You have doctors for farmers. So literally all sections, workers for all working classes, they have already extended support to this. And you also have a section which worked very hard to ensure Narendra Modi would come to power. That is the retired soldiers who are expecting one rank, one pension. Today the soldiers are also with the farmers, marching with the farmers. So this is something which is unique. And this is something we, like the earlier speaker mentioned, that we don't feel it is a struggle just till November 30th. We feel this solidarity is something which over time has to be strengthened. We will have our differences, but we should be able to build an unity around issues that touch each one of our hearts. That is something, and there we are very clear that it is against neoliberal policies, it is against the communal forces, it is against the forces which are trying to bring about a fascist setup here. So that is something which, so we believe, unlike earlier there was the national platform of mass organization during the Vajpayee years, but that could not sustain. But here, very clearly, among those who are part of this entire process, we are clear that this has to go on. Irrespective of which regime comes, this has to go on because it is some of these policies are policies which have been implemented. Be joining in this march from Bala Sahib Gurudwara. There would be another from the Majnu Ka Tilla Gurudwara, where people from Haryana, Punjab, Uttarakhand and other northern states, they would be marching from there. There would be one from Anand Vihar railway station, where people from Bihar, Odisha, Jharkhand, Bengal and other states, they would be marching from there. And one will be coming a little outside Delhi from Bijwasan, which is about 24 kilometers. The other three marches would be around 12 to 14 kilometers. So we will be marching, and in this march we also request all of you. I know it is towards the end of the semester, but we can still, there could be possibility one of these days at least coming out in solidarity. And I think these struggles, one thing we can be confident, these struggles are going to build an atmosphere for their defeat. It is our struggles which will build the atmosphere for their defeat, and for that you would all be actually scripting history. So I think I would not speak much more, because we have Sainath who explain things, speak to you about different issues related to the crisis and so on. It has been a pleasure coming here, speaking to all of you. To the Hitlers in the academia, you have sent a message. I think once again, saluting all of you for your struggles, I would conclude. Thank you.